Mark, there's an earlier version of this piece, and that was for Jessica, right?
Correct, yes.
Did you know you were writing for Jessica when you wrote the music?
Jessica is the reason this piece exists. She approached me to write a work for her recital series at Carnegie Hall. This was in spring of 2011. We decided to look at a longer work, creating a longer work for her, for soprano, as well as ensemble of 8, and it included an electronic soundscape as well, kind of the a la Dr. Atomic. And so, yeah, she was definitely very vivid in the mind when it happened.
And when did you latch on to the subject matter?
Well, after she approached me, she wanted basically to have us conceive a work that reflected the decade after 9/11. And, you know, having worked with John Adams on Transmigration of Souls, which had its, in 2002, had its performance at Avery Fisher Hall with the New York Phil, I felt the strain of kind of what John was feeling in that way. It's like, you know, you're dealing with a very, very sensitive subject, a very intense subject. So I decided, well, you know, let's look at something in theology and mythology, that's something far before Christianity, far before Islam, Judaism. And it led me to this idea of Zoroaster, essentially the first monotheistic religion. So I found a wonderful Persian poet in San Francisco, Niloufar Talebi. So I enlisted her and we started working out the ideas.
It's interesting, the Persian, even in English translation, is so beautiful. How did you develop your capacity to set the Persian, to set the language?
You know, Niloufar, actually, she was a huge part in this. I described in very colorful musical language what I was looking for, and she didn't quite know what that meant initially, but I think as we started to collaborate, she started to pick and really pull some beautiful poetry, because her background is not only in just poetry itself, but also in translation of Persian poetry into English.
And you were also translating, in a sense, for this version of the work from a conception that involved electronics and 8 players to a full orchestra. And when we rehearsed it initially, it just seemed like it was always conceived for this.
Yeah.
How was that process?
If you look at the 2 scores, the text and the actual vocal line themselves are basically the same. They're very close to each other. The musical language that is surrounding and supporting this text and this vocal writing is radically different. And I think what was very interesting with the chamber version was kind of starts and it's off, and you're going for 35 minutes. And you know, at Carnegie Hall and Zankel Hall, it was pretty intense. I mean, you know, by the end of it, people are like, whoa. It was like the jets were on high flame. And so, you know, I really felt the expression of this piece needed to feel more broad with an orchestra sound. It needed to be able to settle more and give space for the language differently.
Well, also, aren't some of the large orchestral interludes new?
Yes, very much.
Those are fresh material in a sense.
Absolutely. The overture is completely new.
Right.
You know, a lot of composers have they have issues with going back and hashing through their music. It's like a Pandora's box. You're opening something that you thought you closed 3 years ago. And you know, I took a very positive approach to that and decided to really, you know, let's go for this. Let's strip it out. Let's do radical things and just have fun with it. And so here we are.